And action. Hey, Mike, how are you today? Thanks for coming in. Good to see you again.
Thanks.
I want to reiterate, as I've mentioned to you in previous sessions, that I am always excited and optimistic to see people come back because this isn't the easiest process. It takes a lot of courage to sort of admit that you're having some problems and to seek out the therapy. And then, my job is to give you some help. But I'm sure that you probably, before you came, I would imagine with each session, before you came, you had serious doubts about getting in the car and actually coming here.
That's right. I almost didn't show up today, as a matter of fact.
It's a lot easier to sort of just brush stuff under the rug rather than sort of dealing with it a lot of times.
Well, there's a lot of bars between my house and here, so it's always hard.
Right. Well, so the fact that you, as I say, the fact that you're here is good. I wanted to also mention that, is it okay with you if I take some notes?
Yeah, of course.
And I'm also going to refer back to some notes I've taken in the previous sessions. Sometimes clients get a little nervous, like, what are you writing about me?
No, I am very serious about this process, and anything you can do to make it more effective is fine with me.
All right. So, this is our fourth session. I have made some notes over the last few sessions. I've also put some treatment plan ideas together, and I want to get your input on that as well. The things that I feel like that I want to work with you on, I want to make sure you're comfortable with them, and then we can modify some of those things if you're not. So I want to go over those.
Okay.
Also, I just want to ask you in general, do you feel like the things we've talked about and the prospect of sort of working some of these things out and moving forward and getting better, have you felt that way since you've been doing this, or are you still sort of uncertain? Or
I'm feeling pessimistic, but I just don't think I've been here enough times. You know what I mean? I don't feel like we've proceeded. I don't know. I'm okay with it. I'm glad to try it, but I'm skeptical.
Well, do you feel as if you have made any progress at all up to this point?
Only in that these sessions help me organize my thoughts about it. I am afraid that after all this time, I'm kind of hardwired. But again, I think it's going to help if I continue to explore.
Yes. I can understand. I can understand you saying that. I can also understand your pessimism. I think as we proceed, that you will see some more progress, and that you will have a little bit better outlook on things as we move forward. Tell me how you're doing, just in general, over say the last week since I saw you.
I'm okay. Work is work. It's the same kind of deal. I actually, it's funny you mention it. I got tried to call my mom and dad the other day, and they didn't pick up their phone. But maybe I shouldn't be so pessimistic because I actually didn't get in my car and drive over there. And sure enough, a couple hours later, they called me. So maybe, I don't know.
Would you have normally driven over there?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So you made a conscious decision based upon some of the things we've spoken about that you would just wait, and that you kind of resisted the urge to immediately go over there?
Yeah, and it was hard, but I did it. And maybe if it had been longer than a couple hours, I would have went ahead and caved and went, but I didn't. And like again, it was resolved. It was okay. They were fine.
And how did that make you feel during that time between when you called and they didn't answer and when they did finally call back?
I was obsessing a little, you know. I was nervous, but I sat down and did some drawing. I worked on a pencil drawing for a while, and just kind of just diverted myself, and that seemed to help a little bit.
Do you like to draw?
Yeah, I've always enjoyed sketching and drawing and stuff. I'm not any good at it, but I do like it. It's a good way to forget, you know, my worries and stuff.
Well, that's an interesting thing that you bring that up, because, you know, I would say that's something we might be able to employ into some of the things we work on. If that's an effective method of diverting your attention away from maybe some more negative thought processes, or especially the anxious thought processes.
Yeah.
What kind of things do you like to draw?
I never know. I just sketch, and sometimes it's not even an image. It's just something that I just sketch, you know, shapes and stuff like that. I tend to draw the same few pictures quite often over and over. Ever since I was a kid, I've drawn the same pictures, and I tend to do that a lot. But sometimes I, you know, vary. It just depends. It's just a way to shut the brain down a little bit.
So this is something you've used since you were a kid?
I didn't. I never thought of it as using it so much as it was just something that I would wind up doing. It was kind of the other day. That's sort of the first time I just thought to find a way to spend time and change my train of thinking. That's all. It's the first time I really thought of it like that. But
yeah, well, good. I think that's shows that you're at least thinking about things we've spoken about here, and making a conscious effort to do something different. And that's really what therapy and change is all about, is maybe looking at things differently and making a conscious effort on a day-to-day or even minute-to-minute basis to maybe handle things differently. That's going to help you feel a little bit better about things in general. You say you drew the same pictures. Are those is that a specific? I mean, are there specific things you're talking about?
Yeah.
Like, what are some of the pictures you?
Ever since I was a kid in school, I always draw little tiny sailboats, like ships with sails, palm trees. I always draw the same landscape of a great big field with a little barn or a farmhouse with a little twister heading towards it. And then I draw also shark fins and stingrays. And there's a kind of a car, it's a stylized 1950s car that I kind of sketch out. It's not good, believe me, but it's just something that I've done. I don't know what that means. And then I'll draw people, just the shapes of people with sketches. Like, I can't draw the face accurately. Sometimes I'll draw pictures of horse races.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. I think maybe I'd like to talk about some of those pictures a little bit more in subsequent sessions. But the focus of today's session is to sort of discuss the progress we've made up to this point. Sort of, you know, I've put together a treatment plan, as I mentioned before. I want to go over some of the things that I see and that I would like to work on, and then get your input about that.
Okay.
So that we can move forward with a more of a definitive type plan. So the the problems, obviously, that, you know, I won't be telling you anything new, but your anxiety issues and your panic attacks are I think the things we want to really address and be most concerned with. your incidences of trips to the emergency room because of the panic attacks. That's something that obviously is not something that you want to continue with, I'm sure. And
Yeah,
you're missing work.
The ER
during
people
those
at
times.
Kobe General, it's like Cheers over there. They all know my name.
Oh yeah.
In fact, they get mad. They threaten to give me some kind of citation or something. But anyway, I'm sorry. What were you saying?
No, I want you to talk about it. They well, after you've been there, I think you even mentioned in some of the notes in the earlier session that they kind of just look at you like you're just another one of those crazy guys, street people or something, or a drunk.
That's right. Obviously, they haven't ever had an anxiety attack.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you really feel as if you're going to have a heart attack when this is happening.
Very much so.
Mm-hmm. So, in terms of all that, I came up with some treatment goals I want to go over with you with, and then you can tell me your thoughts on them. Number one, I want to talk to you about reducing your occurrences of panic attacks. I mean, ideally, we would get to a point where you don't experience them at all, or if you do, they would be not so severe to the point where you felt like you were going to have a heart attack or where you had to go to the emergency room.
Manageable. Yeah, okay.
So a goal that I have put on here is that we would reduce the occurrences of your panic attacks and work absences and trips to the emergency room to no more than once every 2 months. And the way I intend to go about doing this is through talking to you about some self-relaxation techniques,
Mm-hmm.
and through the therapeutic approach that I tend to lean toward, that I like to use, but I think is especially effective with anxiety issues, is cognitive therapy or cognitive behavioral therapy. Do you have any idea what that means?
No.
Cognitive behavioral therapy basically says that you're going to behave in a manner based upon what you're thinking about. So if you start thinking about being anxious, or if there's things that your mind makes a correlation between, say, a social situation and anxiety, so then you avoid social situations. So if you were to think about the social situations in a different way, say in a more positive way or in a less anxious way, then you would be able to behave more calmly and without the anxiety in those situations.
Yeah,
So
that would be nice.
the idea is by changing some of the way you think about things, then you're able to sort of behave in a different manner, a manner that might work better for you.
Well, like an exercise that I do or something?
No, just realizing, being aware of your thought processes at certain times. Like, for instance, when your parents, when you tried to call them the other day,
Yeah.
and you immediately wanted to rush over there, well, you made that connection in your mind. You said, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm not, I'm going to wait. And then you found a way to do that. You found through drawing that you were able to divert your mind a little bit. Because really, everything we do is generated from our brains, basically. Whatever we think about translates into behavior. And so when you start seeing, when you start making a mental association between A and B, and the A starts to cause you anxiety, then the B, follows that you are going to be anxious.
Yeah, it's definitely been repeating itself forever. I mean, I get you. It's like a pattern. Sure.
So when I say self-relaxation techniques, you stated in one of our earlier sessions that when you go to the emergency room, a lot of times they'll just tell you to relax, or people in your life, when you're having either a panic attack or a very anxious moment, they'll say, why don't you just relax, Mike? Why don't you relax? And you said you don't know how to do that. And that's, I think, one of the reasons that you're here today is because you don't know how to relax. And this anxiety is just eating you up and making you feel pretty crummy all the time.
Yeah, that's true, and hopefully it's preemptive stuff, because by the time I get to the ER, I most certainly do not know how to relax,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd rather not have to go there all the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'd be great.
Have you ever taken any sort of medication through Dr. Gorman, or I'm sorry, I may not have. Dr. Gordon, sorry. Has Dr. Gordon ever suggested any sort of medication?
They tried me on. Wellbutrin one time, and that made me irritable. I quit that right away, and I had a buddy give me. Well, I'm not going to get in trouble for saying this, right?
No,
A couple of
it's confidential.
Valiums, and those just made me fall asleep. I didn't like them, but otherwise, no.
Do you have any idea what the dosage on the Valiums was?
I don't remember. He said they were like the second from the weakest, so I didn't have to
Okay.
worry. And it was just like I said, it just made me go to sleep. But
Are you opposed to taking medication?
I don't know. I'd kind of rather not if I could. Again, I feel like I'm hardwired to the point now where it might take something like that, but I'd really rather avoid that if I can.
Okay. Well, I
Do you
want
think
us
that's
to.
possible? I mean,
Yeah, I definitely do. However, I want you to keep it in the back of your mind, and if we're, I think we're going to make progress either way, but it may be something to consider in conjunction with the work we're doing here. I could refer you to a doctor that I know that could prescribe you something, and if just a low dose that you could do in conjunction with this therapy, just to kind of get you a little leveled out, and then eventually look to wean back off of that maybe, and just do the therapy.
I agree with that. That's something I would consider.
Because, I mean, the fact that you do have regular trips to the emergency room with the panic attacks, and you feel as if the problem's becoming worse, it's something we should consider as far as trying to stabilize that.
Yeah, maybe like
and
an
then-
emergency parachute kind of thing, where
Exactly.
I could take it and wait 30 minutes and then make the decision
Mhm.
about the ER. And again, I wouldn't want to do it all the time, but it might be nice to have as an
Okay.
emergency. You know?
Well, let's see how you feel over the next couple of sessions, and if you're still feeling pretty anxious or you have had a major panic attack, I think we ought to look into that, and I could schedule that appointment for you and have you go see something. And you had mentioned that you experimented with 2 different types of medication that you didn't really like. You would definitely mention that to the doctor I would refer you to, and he could try something else. If that particular thing isn't helping you, he could try something after that. I mean, I don't want you to feel like a guinea pig or anything,
No,
but
again, there's a wide range of things.
yeah, different things affect people differently, and so let's keep that. I'm going to make a note that we'll talk about that again either next session or the one after. As far as self-relaxation that you can do on your own, and by the way, there's a point I always try to make to my clients, that you come to therapy for basically an hour, 1 day a week. So the process of working on the things we talk about and getting better, a lot of that work is up to you. So when I talk about self-relaxation techniques, I'm talking about things that we can work on here that you can practice at home.
Okay.
I don't really like to use the word meditation because that sort of seems to have a stigma attached to it. If you start talking to people about meditation, that sort of thing, they
Yeah, I might
think
as well
you're a
chew on some
Buddhist.
granola.
Yeah, exactly.
I know. No, I know what you mean.
and not that there's anything wrong with being a Buddhist, but as an American,
No, I got you.
you know,
Stigmas, sure.
so think of it more as self-relaxation instead of meditation. But next session, if you're willing, I would like to work on some of that with you. Basically, you would close your eyes, take some deep breaths, focus on your breathing, which eventually
Oh, like
will,
meditation.
right.
Okay, I got you.
It'll eventually sort of take your mind. You try to sort of silence your mind, and
Yeah, good luck.
right. It's all this stuff will take practice. It's not just going to happen.
No, I'm willing to try that.
Okay, but so what I'd like you to do once we start working on that is say at least 10 minutes, either every morning or when you have the time to do it. And basically, you're going to clear your mind and you're going to try to become relaxed, try to learn how to relax. A lot of people might not look at relaxation as like a learned skill, but it is. And obviously, in your case, it would be very beneficial to be able to do that more often. Another goal, I've written down 5 goals. We are going to, let me check on our time. We're running a little tight on time, so I'm going to kind of breeze through these real quick, and then we're going to have to end this session.
Okay.
Another goal I had is for you to become more comfortable in social situations and less reliant on your parents. In order to achieve that goal, I was hoping that I could talk you into joining some sort of a social group or a support group. We have there is a sort of generalized anxiety support group. These would be people that experience a lot of the same issues you do. That could sort of be a.
Can we just talk about that maybe later? Because I'm not sure about that one.
Well, would you be willing to go to just try it once and see?
Maybe.
I know that probably makes you very anxious, but that's the point of it, is that it's another.
Is it other people with anxiety?
Yes. And the group has a leader.
Yeah. Okay. I might consider that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we'll put that on the other learning. I want to talk about learning and applying the differences between realistic and unrealistic fears through this cognitive behavioral process. For instance, you are convinced, or you have stated that you're convinced that you have like a brain tumor, or that you have a lot of health issues. You may or may not, but the only way to really figure that out is what I'd like you to do, and I'll refer you to the doctor as well, or you could go to Dr. Gordon. I'd like you to get a extensive physical examination with blood work and everything else, and then we can work off that as far as, okay, we can let your fears rest on certain issues that you may be fearing in terms of your overall physical well-being.
Oh yeah. Okay. Like cancer and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And if we get that out of the way, but I don't know. Maybe I'll have to get a second opinion. But okay. Okay.
Okay. So that so some things that we all fear, including you, I suspect, sometimes they're not really realistic fears. You know what I mean when I say that?
Yeah. Like it's in my head.
Right. So that's another goal I would like us to sort of start making those differentiations between fears, and also maybe we don't need to be so afraid of things that might be somewhat realistic but are just being over dramatized. Or
Maybe. I don't know.
all right.
Okay. That's fine.
I'd also like to meet with your parents, with all 3 of us at one session.
Yeah, you said something about that before, and they said that would be okay.
Okay. just to discuss the fact that they're sort of the dependence you seem to sort of have on them and with them. Sometimes that kind of works both ways. So for us to be able to sit and talk and work out maybe a more realistic idea of the role that everyone plays within the family and trying to help each other to be as independent as possible.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, because, right, there might be things they can do to help the process along or something, if that's what you're trying to say.
Yeah, exactly. And lastly, and then we're going to have to wait till next time. I want us to do some role play while we're in therapy. You know what role play is.
I don't have to wear wigs or anything, do I?
Well, we'll see. It might liven things up a little bit. But so
Scenarios. Yeah, I don't mind. I'm up for it. You're the doc. I figure, okay, you know what you're doing.
yeah, but I think through doing some of that, we can look at more at some of your thought processes, the way you perceive yourself, and then try to reinforce some of the positives because you're a very smart guy. You did very well in school. You're a great chess player. I mean, you have a lot of positive qualities, but it seems to me that quite often you're focusing on the negatives. And so I'd like to do some role play where we can discuss some of that and sort of get to the point where maybe you're a little bit more comfortable socially.
Okay.
And also with your daughter.
Oh, right.
I think maybe we could do some role play regarding your daughter.
Okay, well, while we're on the subject, do you want me to show you my imitation of a diner breakfast?
Okay.
I'm a Freudian blue plate with a paranoid side order and a tall glass of weird.
Well, thanks for sharing that, Mike. I'll make sure I make note of that.
That was just
Yeah.
my last therapist told me that before he jumped off the Skyway.
Oh, okay. Thank you for coming today, Mike, and we will see you next week, sir.
Thanks, man.
Call me
Appreciate
if
it
you
a
need
lot.
anything, all right?
Yeah, I sure will, and I appreciate it.
Okay.
Mike can't help you now.
Wait, Mike used to be a girl.